Wednesday evening at 8:30. There are many repeaters that link to this net on Wednesday evenings, including Union repeater K4USC, Chester repeaters W4CHR, also the Lewis repeater KW4BET, the Fleet Talk group W4FTK, which is multiple repeaters. There's also the Midlands digital node that KG4NWE maintains, along with EchoLink, All-Star nodes, Ham Shack hotlines, and there may be something else. There's a lot of ways to come into the Piedmont Link. I'd like to remind everybody that our purpose really is just trying to share some information about amateur radio, in addition to checking in and spreading some information, and also have a little fun each Wednesday. This also acts as a time when we can test the repeaters and the linking capabilities, and you certainly should check your own station. Be ready, be prepared. We are going to have an interesting topic tonight, so I'll tell everybody about that in just a moment. All right, and moving along, this is a directed net, although informal. Let's try to keep it very informal and have fun. And again, my name is Phil, Papa Hotel India Lima. My call is KR4NO. I'm up near the battleground in Cherokee County, South Carolina. And if you would direct calls and comments to that control, and when you check in, if you would, please give me your call sign phonetically and your name and location. If you have any comments in addition to our topic comments, I'll make a note and be sure to come back to you. All right, let's get the first thing out of the way, and that's if there's any stations or anyone listening that may have an emergency or anything emergency related for the net, call net control. Okay, all right. I'm not going to tell everyone exactly what the topic is. I want to see who's been keeping up with this. But I want to try to figure out how to say this without divulging this particular item. So far, gosh, how do I do this? And you know, I thought about this prior to the net. There's something going on in South Carolina. Let's just say it that way. There's something going on in South Carolina that has popped up here a few times within the past few weeks, the past couple of weeks. And it's interesting. It's not uncommon. But there's actually been 9 events of this thing popping up so far. And I'm curious if anyone else is paying attention to the news in South Carolina. Maybe some of the folks down in the Midlands area around Columbia may have a lot more information about this, may have some comments. And then I want to use that to cover a little broader view of our topic tonight. So I guess how do I ask that question is what's going on in South Carolina? I'll just put it that way. So we're going to start with our time valued stations, HTs, battery backups, mobiles, and such as that. So any time valued stations for the Piedmont Link, call net control.
Net control. Please check in. Kilo Foxtrot 4, Tango Hotel Lima, Berry in Edgemore, South Carolina, and earthquakes.
Net control. Kilo 4, Kilo Uniform Sierra, Dan and Chester, Bigfoot sightings.
Net control. Please check in and out Whiskey 4 Papa Delta Yankee W4 PDY. Doug and Hickory, and a little rocking and rolling going on down there.
Control. Check in November 0, Uniform Hotel Foxtrot, Stephen up in Hickory.
Yeah, Control. Please check in. 8K4FD, Alpha Kilo 4 Foxtrot Delta, mobile, in Maiden, North Carolina, and definitely earthquakes.
Net Control. Please check in and out. Kilo Echo 8 Tango Lima Golf. That's KE8TLG. That's James in Mount Holly. Sounds like some earthquakes going on.
Net Control. Please check in. Here we go.
All right, Ned, stand by. Now, last station, I think we had a double, but let's try that one again.
Net Control. Please check in. Kilo Golf 4, November, Whiskey Echo, Rawlsome and Chester. I don't know. Tax collection? That's one thing that's going on.
Okay, well, we got a big group here of time value. Let me go through this right quick. I'm just going to go with call signs. I've got K4THL with earthquakes, K4KUS with Bigfoots. That's 9 sightings in short duration. I ain't going to say it ain't possible. If it does start happening, I want to go. W4PDY, earthquakes, N0UHF. AK4FD Mobile, he said earthquakes. KE8ELG James and Ross KG4NWE Texas. That goes on all the time. All right, that's a lot of time value stations. Any other time value stations for the Piedmont Link? And the topic is kind of broad. What's going on in South Carolina?
This is KI4ATC, James, Peru, Arkansas. Just checking in, see what's going on.
Hey, James, I got KI4. Could I get the last part of your call?
It's KI4HTC, Kilo Indy 4 Hotel Tango Charlie.
Okay, Hotel Tango Charlie, got you, James. Appreciate that from down there. All right, I'm going to move along. I'm sure there's possibly some other time valued stations. We'll go through one group or so, and then I'm going to expand a little bit on our topic, which is, covering a short time duration. There's some stuff going on in South Carolina. There's been 9 events in the past 2 weeks, and I guess my question is, what's going on with these events? What's the topic? What is going on in South Carolina? So let's start out. Well, let me do this. I got to get my Echolink stations. I'm wanting to get too far ahead. So let's get Echolink out of state for the Piedmont Link.
Good evening, Net Control. This is Kilo Golf 4, November India Juliet Mike, up in Alexandria, Virginia, where even 2 days after the event, I've still got 8 inches of snow on the ground. Back to Net Control.
Net Control, check in Kilo 4, Delta Tango Mike, K4DTM,
Derek in Memphis, Tennessee. Can't come in on a topic, but we have had some schools in the West Tennessee area the last couple of months, so kind of interesting. Y'all carry on from K4DKL.
Echo Link stations, anyone, anywhere via Echo Link.
Kilo, Delta 9 Sierra Kilo Romeo, KD9 SKL, Randall from Bourbonnais, Illinois.
Alright, I think I got that. Was it Kilo Delta 9 Sierra Kilo Romeo, was that right?
Yes, sir, that is correct. You got it. Kilo Delta 9 Sierra Kilo Romeo, Randall from Bourbonnais, Illinois.
Alright, thank you very much for your check-in to the Piedmont Link. We certainly appreciate it. Alright, I'm going to move along. Let's see who else. Anyone else that might be on the Midlands Digital group before I start with our call sign suffixes. Anyone via the Midlands Digital or the Ham Shack hotline or All-Star, any of those?
Control. Please check in Kilo November 4, November Kilo Oscar, KM4 MKO, Rachel and Chester.
All right, Rachel, thank you. KM4 NKO. Let's go ahead and get our suffix. I'm going to start at the first, and that we'll get this one group, and then I'm going to cover some of the information on this topic. So, call sign suffix A through F, Alpha through Foxtrot for the Piedmont Link. All net control.
Net control. Please check in November 4, Delta Papa Golf, Dwight, located in Chester, South Carolina. Good evening to you and everybody on the net.
Net control, Whiskey 3, Foxtrot Hotel Tango, Dave and Chester, via my cell phone and Echo Link tonight. Head back to net control.
All right, had a small group there, N4DPG and W3FHT. All right, I want to expand a little bit on the information that we've been talking about, what's going on in South Carolina. I think most people are hitting it pretty close. There have been 9 events so far in South Carolina the past 2 weeks that are earthquake. Which is not uncommon. I think the media covered it and said there's about 20 per year, but it's uncommon to have them this close. So they don't really know what's going on. They're not making any predictions. But I looked up some of the information on the earthquake, and there's a lot of information about it, safety tips, and they do have a thing. This, if you think about the fires, it's stop, drop, and roll. In the earthquake safety guides, it's stop, drop, and hold on. So, we don't know what's going on. We could have something else that happens. It may not happen, but certainly be aware of your surroundings. There are a couple of places online that do cover a lot of the safety guidelines. If you're inside, you want to stay inside. If you're outside, you want to stay outside. There's certain places to stay away from, high walls and, you know, the edge of buildings, things like that. But it's certainly worth going and looking at and reading through it and give yourself a little common knowledge about what's, you know, what's practical. I don't know bad things could get and how bad, you know, it's possible, but it pays to be prepared, and this just ties right into our hobby. So that is what we're talking about. So in addition to our topic, I'll ask too if any of the people that have been in the Midlands, Columbia area, and Low Country that do check in if they have experienced any of these quakes so far. So we'll continue with our check-ins, and we are talking about earthquakes in South Carolina, and we'll go one more round of A through F for the Piedmont Link. All right, we're going to move along and go through Mike, G through M stations. Okay, well this is getting scary. I don't know where everyone's at. We'll just open it up and ask for check-ins. Anyone, anywhere. We're up to 16. I counted myself and my wife. We'll see if there's anyone else out there that has any check-ins for the Piedmont Link. Net control.
Please check in. Kilo Oscar 4, Whiskey Papa Tango, KO4WPT, J in Matthews, North Carolina. Haven't felt any rocking and rolling up it this way.
Net control.
Control. Please check in Kilo Oscar 4, Papa Hotel Hotel, KO4PHH, Corey in Midland, North Carolina. I've never experienced an earthquake before.
Take control. Good evening, Phil. Please check in Kilo November 4, Papa Oscar Whiskey, KN4POW. Steve over in Mint Hill, North Carolina. And if it wasn't earthquakes, I was going to say high temperature records broken. Had a lot of those here in North Carolina. Anyway, pass it back to you. KN4POW, back to net control. All right, net control. And Steve, that is KO4WPT, KO4PHH, and KN4POW. Steve, you're right. My wife and I were talking about that on New Year's Day. She was commenting about how hot it was here in the house, and it wasn't that hot, but it felt like it. And for 2 days, I think we ran the air conditioner. So it's amazing that this temperature actually affects the business that I'm in, which is the concrete business. And I won't get started on that, but there are some interesting sidebars for that. But I won't go into that. We're going to continue with check-ins for the Piedmont Link, and we were talking about earthquakes. And if anybody has any interesting stories and you want to share them, that would be grand. So check-ins for the Piedmont Link.
Combat, just to stay out for ATC, you talk about earthquake. We're about 12 miles from Missouri line, and we're off the New Margaret fault line. We had an earthquake last 4 weeks ago, and you can feel it. Feel like somebody jerking rugs from even Memphis, Tennessee on it. So they're telling us one of these days we might get a big one. I hope we don't. Back to you. He's KI4 ATC, James.
Well, appreciate your comments. There is one story I'll share back in, I have to think of the year, maybe 94, when California had a bad quake. It shut down a lot of stuff, and they had a lot of damage. It might have been 94. There was a friend down in Union County that called me and had a neighbor that had an uncle out there that she couldn't get in touch with. And I'd been listening to one of the emergency nets on HF on 80 meters, actually, I think it was. And I got the fellow's name and number, cell phone number, because they weren't letting calls go in to that affected area. Passed it to the net control operator in Texas. I heard him pass it to the fellow in California that was in the affected area, and between calls and tremors, he was making calls inside the area checking on people. And I heard him when he called back later with the message that he was okay, he'll call her when he can. So it literally took him 30 minutes or less to get across country, find this gentleman, and then I called my friend back in Union, and I said, he's fine, he'll call her when he gets straightened out there, and he can. So 30 minutes across country.
Yeah, you can't go on that. I hate hogs and nets, but about a month ago we had the best tore down in this town, probably about 20 miles from here or something like that. And 2 years ago, hit Jonesboro, Arkansas, about 16 miles from here, and it almost tore them all here, and they never got it built back yet. And then also 1800 something had an earthquake so bad. 2 years, that's what caused a real foot lake started. The Mississippi River ran backwards. They got counts on that, so wherever you live, you got bad everything going on, so you have to just take caution back here.
Net control. Net control, please check in Kilo 2 Sierra Tango, K2ST. The name is Scott in Irmo. And the only place I concern myself is up there in Fairfield County, Jenkinsville, at that nuclear plant. That wouldn't be a good place to have one. But other than that, everything has been pretty unfelt here in my location. Back to net.
Okay, Scott, K2ST, and I think a while ago me and James I may have timed it out. James may have jumped in there, but I think you can understand, everybody can understand. Be ready, be prepared. It's not always a hurricane or a tornado or flash floods around here. There are other things that can creep up on us, so be ready. And we're moving along. I think, let me ask for any additional check-ins, and I got one more announcement. Any additional check-ins for the Piedmont Link?
Net control, please check in Kilo Whiskey 4 Bravo Echo Tango, KW4 BET, Brian Chester. I've felt two earthquakes. One, I was woken up from sound sleep, and that was, I would say, the strangest one, because I wasn't sure what was going on, and all day I just couldn't. It was just like everything just wasn't right all day. The second one that I felt pretty strong was in Charlotte, near the airport, 3-story building. My office was the dead center, 2nd floor, and my chair was
turned and just barely touching the desk, and it started knocking, started shaking. That was really weird to feel that big building, and my cup of coffee was shaking. So that was weird to feel that big building, but not as weird as the one where I was woke up from the sleep. Great net. KW4BET back to net.
WE. All right, thank you, Brian.
Okay, Sam. Be with you in just a minute.
We do have them here. This one, these that we're having now are they're a lot in a short time frame, so they're not sure. And we may talk a little more as the weeks go ahead, see how things go. The other announcement I had is
You're just waiting 4 more minutes for a net to start. We got 2 fellows out there already. This is KJ4TL John over here in KCU with the rig. Rusty Road's right. Good gracious. Oh, the Wrangler Rag Chew Roundup. Too many R's. Anyway, this is John, KJ4TL. We're going to go ahead and get the net started now. It's about 3 minutes still, but what the heck. We got Carl out there. Oh boy, KO4JQH, and we got Sam, KG4TXO. Good evening, Carl. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Net control, I got a comment. KG4NW.
yeah, go ahead, Ross.
Topic of earthquakes and storms and ham radio. It's just a reminder that if there's anything that anybody might need and don't have ready on hand, water, chicken noodle soup, rice, those simple things. It doesn't hurt to get it now. If something, just have it ready, because if something were to happen, the ham community has a job to do, even though it's just volunteer. We do have a little thing we got to do, and we can get on that and get that handled, and then we won't be standing in line with everybody else waiting for the last of whatever supply we might need. So that's all I ask. Just get ready. KG4NW.
Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that. Yeah, and I think that's another good piece of advice. I've done a little better on hunting and put some meat in the freezer and got some other stuff stocked up. So you don't know what these things are going to do to us. So odd things going on not only in the state but in the country. So good advice, Ross. And I did see your post on the Piedmont Link. Everybody needs to check that out. You can always listen in. All right. Any other check-ins, and then I'm going to close her down and go get ready for another wonderful.
Good evening. The time is 9 p.m. KW4BET.
W3FHT. I think I've been in one earthquake for sure, and that was when I was in Greece. And it was like the floor just shook a little. What was funny was a few minutes later, personnel from the SEAL team, what Navy SEALs do, called and asked about it. They weren't sure. I thought that was funny. W3FHT, back to net.
Yeah, you know, we've had, there's been 2 occurrences that I've actually felt at home. Last one, I was actually sitting in a recliner, and I felt the whole thing kind of jarring around, kind of like what Brian explained, his example. My wife had already gone to bed, and she hollered at me and wanted to know if I'd thrown something and hit the wall, and that's what it sounded like. Of course, it did to her, but I felt it in the chair, so... but I had to sit there and think about it a minute, and then I got online and looked at the what's the geological place they do for posting those, and it had already posted. I mean, there was already a note up that one had occurred, not close by, but within range of us to feel it. So, all right, well, folks, that's probably it. I'm gonna be around a while. We're at 21, and again, the topic was earthquakes in South Carolina, and it's not just there, and it's not just earthquakes. Be ready. Anything can happen, and I'll be around in a few minutes. KR4NO shutting down the net at 9:01. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everyone checking in and your comments.